It's the WHTC Morning News with Dan Evans and Gary Stevens on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC.
Yes, WHTC Morning News on a Friday morning, 8:41 now. Finally Friday, and we are so pleased to have a special guest in studio today, all the way from the eastern part of the state, welcoming in Judge Richard Bernstein. Judge, thanks so much for your time today.
Are you kidding? I love being in Holland. If you invite us, I will always come. I just love it here.
So you didn't come just to see us, though, did you?
Well, you know what? I would, but I was actually here to speak to the Ottawa County Bar Association, and it was a fabulous evening. And this is just an incredible county, and you've got a really good team of judges and lawyers and folks that make this place great. But I just got to tell you, this is a great place, and I love it here. And if you have me back, I want to come here as much as possible, especially in the summer.
Okay. and we were talking off air that, that I just moved up here from Nashville,
Yes.
Tennessee, and you were like, well, I don't know about the winter, but telling you we're originally from the Minneapolis, and me from Fargo, I know all about winter, so it wasn't too bad at all. But aside from that meeting yesterday, you're just kind of making the rounds, and
well, I'm making the rounds because there's an issue that's very important to me, and I'm incredibly passionate about this. I want everyone to come back and start doing things in person. This is something I am very dedicated to, and that's why I was delighted to be at the Ottawa County Bar Association, because as a Supreme Court Justice, one of the issues that we're having is I want everyone back in person. I want the courts back in person. We have got to get away from Zoom, and we've got to get people to take off the masks and start integrating and kind of coming back online again. I mean, this is a very important issue, is that in order for us to move forward as a society, people have to do things in person. And I got to tell you, at the courts, we're having this debate where a lot of folks want to keep doing court by Zoom. They want to keep doing it virtually. And myself and Justice Viviano are traveling across the state, basically imploring people to please come back and start doing things in person. It's how we're meant to be. It's the way that God created us, and we really have to get focused on this.
Speaking with Michigan Supreme Court Judge Richard Bernstein this morning, and certainly appreciate him stopping by. Talking
in person.
In person, yeah. Talking more about that. That was actually a topic I wanted to cover with you, and you jumped right into it. But certainly there are a few advantages, I know, of Zoom calls, but a lot of challenges, especially in your line of work.
Well, here's the thing. I think the question comes down to what is the default? The default must always be in person. If there are people that have concerns, we accommodate those individuals by allowing them to do it virtually. But the real question is, what is going to be the default? And I think what's happening is there's so many people who are making default the Zoom or virtual. It has to be the opposite. Mm-hmm. It must be in person at all times. And if you need to be accommodated, the accommodation can be virtual. But court must be an in-person activity. And same thing with everything should be an in-person activity. And again, we're sensitive to folks that have concerns. They can work virtually, or we can accommodate them. But the rest of society, the rest of business, the rest, especially the courts, which is what I can speak for, must always be in person at all times, with Zoom being an exception, but not the rule.
Judge, I'm tried to do a little of my homework before you came in, and I know one of the things that you're known for is you're a big advocate of disabled rights.
Yes. Well, this is the reason that I'm traveling the state, focusing on getting people to do things in person, is because blind people can't use Zoom. So many people with disabilities have been left out. And while people sit here and, proclaim the virtues of virtual, they need to think about what implications this is having on people with disabilities. And I'm just going to tell you, listen, I think people don't understand that so many folks with disabilities, and I can speak for this personally, because of the isolation that existed throughout the lockdown and the rules and the requirements and the restrictions, what ultimately happened is when people made these rules and all these restrictions and social distancing and masking, was a lot of people, and I'm going to be candid with you, I have some friends that ended their lives who commit suicide because of the isolation. And the community that got got the hardest hit, where you have the highest number of suicides, is the hearing impaired community. And you can probably guess why. The reason we lost so many of our hearing impaired members and so many of our hearing impaired friends was because of the masking. And the fact that they weren't able to read lips basically forced them to live in a world of complete isolation. Enough's enough. It's time to move forward, and ultimately, we've got to bring people back together. The isolation needs to end, and people need to start making their own choices. People are capable of deciding what is best for them, and we have to honor that and allow for people to move forward. It is time for Holland to be filled with people. I want to see coffee shops and restaurants bursting with life and energy and people. It is time for people to get back into their offices. It is time that we start living the way God intended for us to live, which is as a people who come together because we're social creatures. It's the way that the Creator fashioned us.
Yes.
We're not meant to be alone. So it's time for folks to really focus on getting back out there. And I would love to see downtown areas bursting with people, bursting with life. People have got to make an effort to get back out there, do things in person, and live the way that really we have been created to live.
Absolutely. Judge, we could talk, I know, all morning, and I apologize for the lack of time. Fridays are busy.
Absolutely.
But why don't we just say we'll pick it up the next time you're in town? How about that?
In person.
All
Only
right,
in person.
In person. Michigan Supreme Court Judge Richard Bernstein. Richard, Judge, thanks so much for your time this morning.
Thank you. May God bless you.